Coffee. What is going on, guys? So I got my coffee this morning and met up with Ethan and Ellie for a photo shoot. So today's video is going to kind of be like a behind the scenes of a photo shoot that we're doing today. We already shot at the first spot. It was a super cool staircase in this apartment building. It was a super cool spot. Ethan picked it out. So we made it to the second spot. It's actually this red brick wall right here behind me. Check out some of the photos. That second spot for the shoot was really cool. Now we're heading off to the third spot. I'm not sure where it is yet, but we'll see. So we finished up at the third spot. We're now on to our fourth spot. We are in downtown Clayton right now. I think we're gonna shoot at a couple different places here in downtown Clayton. It's gonna be really epic, get a little bit more of like city type shots. One of my favorite things about photography is just walking around and finding cool spots to shoot. Like, we were on the way to one spot and we've already stopped at 4 spots. This is a 4th spot now. We've stopped at 4 spots to take photos on the way to a shoot. It's nuts. I love it. So we had a great photo shoot today. It was a super long photo shoot. We shot at a ton of different spots, as you know, but it was a really good photo shoot and I'm very happy with it. Got some really good shots. So at the last spot we went, I actually got a nosebleed in the middle of the shoot. Like, I was taking pictures, and as I was taking pictures, I got a nosebleed. And so I didn't have anything to like hold my nose with, so I ended up using my hat and sacrificing my hat. But thankfully that got cleared up. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take you with me. We're gonna go back home. We're gonna open up the laptop and I'm going to show you how I edit my photos. So the photos that you've seen throughout the whole vlog so far have been unedited photos, but now we're gonna take you back and we're gonna edit. So guys, I've gotten home. I got all my pictures into the computer. So what I've done is I've taken all the pictures that I really like and I've put them in a separate folder. And now it's time to open up Lightroom and we'll see how some edits go. We're gonna wait for all these to import right here. What I like to do is I use Lightroom CC instead of Lightroom Classic. I like it a little bit better than the Lightroom Classic. It doesn't go near as in depth, but for the stuff that I'm doing and just to put stuff up on Instagram and just for these photos, it's not a paying client. Just to, you know, build up my portfolio and stuff like that, I don't use the fancy Lightroom. I just use the normal Lightroom, or the Lightroom CC. So here is an example of a photo that I've started editing. I've bumped the contrast up a little bit to give it a little bit of pop. I brought the highlights down a little bit just to bring the light on his face down a little bit. You can see what that does there. I messed around with the shadows just a little bit, but when you bring the shadows up too much, it kind of defeats the purpose of it kind of defeats the purpose of the contrast a little bit. So I took the whites down a little bit as well, and we're gonna crush the blacks a little bit as well. Now down here in the white balance, trying to mess up with the temperature and the tint, I do think it looks good, a little, just like a little tiny bit bluer. I also think it looks cool, a little tiny bit warmer. I think for this case, I'm gonna go, excuse me. I think for this case, I'm gonna go a little bit bluer with it. And then also just a little tiny bit over there on the pink side. I think that gives it a really cool vibe. And then I've brought the vibrance up a little bit, kind of make those colors pop, and the saturation as well. Now this does make his face right here go kind of yellow, but we are going to mess with that here in the yellow hue in just a second. As you can see, that's going to change his skin color just a little bit, and so is this orange right here, a little bit more of the orange than it is on that. So we can bring his skin color over here, we can make it a little pinker, we can make it a little yellower. I think for this we're gonna make it just a little bit pinker, and we might turn the saturation down just a little bit and the luminescence up just a little tiny bit so that it doesn't look as yellow with everything else still just as saturated. We might mess with the yellows just a little bit, bring the saturation down just a tiny bit, the luminescence up just a tiny bit, and I'm not seeing too much difference there. There's a little bit in his face. We might bring that, actually that does look really nice, like right in there. So we might leave that right there. Of course, this is gonna change the color of his shirt and of his lips. So we might take this, and that does look pretty cool over there in the orangey side, but I think for this it looks really nice red. So we are gonna leave that about right where it's at, and I would like to bump the saturation up just a little bit and maybe make it a little tiny bit lighter as well. But this right here is probably my favorite part of editing a photo in Lightroom CC, is that you can really mess around with the colors a whole bunch, and I love to mess around with the colors. Like something like that looks really cool, it looks really cool over here, looks really cool over there, but those are all going to be a little too much. And then you can mess with the highlights as well, so that's going to change the color more of him and less of the background. So I generally like to warm things up a little bit with the warm shadows, so we might go over here, we might do a little red, orange, yellow in there, and then with the highlights we might make these a little cooler. We might do a little bit of blue right there in the middle, a little bit of blue. I don't know, that pink looks good too. A little bit green is too green. Might do just a little bit of blue, mess around with that a little bit. I kind of like that right in there. And I think this photo looks awesome. It's just an example of one photo that I edited. I'm not gonna walk you through all the edits. I'm gonna make a video in the future about really how I edit my photos and really go in depth with it, and take you guys into Photoshop as well, because I love Photoshop. But for now, check out some of the edits for today, and I will see you guys in the next video.